Welcome to this episode. Have you subscribed yet? The mystery of the mountain ghost's marriage in Ghost Opera in Yinshan, records of the Nuo mask and the sunken coffin. Chapter 8. The paper figure with open eyes in the mortuary. The mortuary in Yinshan village was located in the side room on the west side of the ancestral hall. The moonlight filtering through the blue tiles cast mottled tree shadows on the white wall, which resembled the twisted branches of the mountain god pagoda tree. When Su Wangyan followed the coffin, carrying villagers into the room, he smelled a mixture of the incense of pagoda wood and the scent of decaying leaves, a unique smell of death in Yinshan village. He had experienced a brief memory loss the year his mother was laid in the coffin, but he remembered this smell vividly. On the mortuary bed lay old man Wang, Akui's father. A piece of yellow paper covered his pale face, and the corner of the paper was lifted by the draft, revealing his bluish-purple lips. Just as Su Wangyan's fingers touched the paper covering the face, the apprentice from the paper-making shop behind him suddenly let out a short scream. The paper figure! The eyes of the paper figure. The soul-summoning paper figure on the offering table had somehow turned towards the mortuary bed. Its empty eye sockets were directly facing Old Man Wang's body, and the paper-pasted corners of its mouth were pulled down into an eerie arc. Su Wangyan noticed that the pagoda wood tablet pinned to the chest of the paper figure was vibrating slightly. It was made overnight by Chen Xiaozi before his death. On the back of the tablet in cinnabar was written Wang Fugu 1945-2023, exactly the same as the birth and death years recorded in the ancestral hall's genealogy. Brother Wangyan, look! Lin Yunyang suddenly tugged at his cuff, her voice trembling more than usual. She brought the kerosene lamp close to the paper figure. The flames cast two deep black shadows in the eye sockets of the paper figure, and on the inner side of the eye sockets, which should have been blank, tiny blood beads were oozing out, trickling down the paper-pasted cheeks and dropping onto the tablet. As soon as Suna's fingertips touched the stiff arm of the paper figure, a sharp pain exploded in his temples. Countless fragmented images flooded into his mind. Old Man Wang was carrying red silk under the mountain god pagoda tree, and Lin Wanshen was standing behind the tree. The Nuo opera mask pattern embroidered on his cuff glowed red in the moonlight. Akui's cries came from the bottom of the river, mixed with the sound of the stone coffin lid rubbing, and the half Nuo opera mask that Chen Xiaozi had stuffed into his hand before his death was getting hot in his pocket at this moment. A heart-rending howl suddenly rang out in the mortuary. Su Wangyan suddenly looked up and saw that Old Man Wang's body had half sat up. The paper covering his face stuck to his forehead, revealing a pair of rolled-up white eyes. Even more terrifyingly, the paper figures on the offering table turned their heads simultaneously. The bloodstains in their eye sockets cast a huge human face shadow on the wall, exactly the same as the weeping pattern of the mountain god pagoda tree. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. ... double quotes. The body of Old Man Wang made a muffled sound, with half a piece of pagoda tree sawdust stuck in his throat. Su Wangyan noticed that his left ring finger was bent unnaturally, and the red sand identical to that at the bottom of Chen Xiaozi's coffin was embedded in his fingernail slit, a sediment only found in the stone coffins at the bottom of the river. Lin Yunyang suddenly grabbed his wrist and pressed his palm against the chest of the paper figure. Use your ability to see what Uncle Wang experienced before his death. Su Wangyan closed his eyes, and his consciousness instantly sank into darkness. When he opened his eyes again, he saw Old Man Wang's memory. Late at night, 3 days ago, Old Man Wang was summoned to the mountain god temple by village head Lin Wanshen. In the moonlight, Lin Wanshen was using a carving knife to modify the inscriptions on the river god stele. Stone powder mixed with blood fell at his feet, and the pagoda tree root-shaped scar on the back of his neck glowed faintly in the night. Engrave Akui's birth date on the 20th stone coffin. Lin Wanshen handed over a chisel. The Nuo opera mask pattern embroidered on his cuff seemed to come alive in the firelight. This is the new rule for the river god sacrifice. The scene suddenly distorted, and Old Man Wang's perspective shifted to the bottom of the river. He saw the 20th stone coffin slowly opening. What was engraved inside the coffin was not Akui's name, but the three large characters Su Wangyan. At the bottom of the coffin lay half a 1937 theater ticket and the signature of the ticket inspector clearly showed Lin Wanshan's fingerprint. When he tried to escape, a hand covered with pagoda tree root patterns suddenly grabbed his neck and pressed him against the coffin lid. A cold touch came. There can be no mistakes with Wang Yin's sacrifice. Su Wanyan suddenly opened his eyes and found that he was grabbing the arm of the paper figure, and the blood stains in the eye sockets of the paper figure had converged into the number 20. Somehow, Old Man Wang's body had lain back again. The blood stains seeping out from under the paper covering his face had actually smudged into a miniature thousand hands pattern on the yellow paper. Yunyang, do you remember ... double quotes? He suddenly recalled the scene he witnessed when he was 10 years old. There were 19 small stone coffins in the hidden compartment of Lin Wanshan's office, and each coffin lid was engraved with Su Wanyan from different eras. Chen Xiaozi said that each opera master would engrave the name of the sacrifice on the stone coffin, and the 20th stone coffin ... It was prepared for you, Lin Yunyang interrupted him. Her fingertips unconsciously rubbed the birthmark on the back of her neck. When Mother was laid in the coffin in 1937, the river god Steely suddenly revealed inscriptions, which read, "When the twin fiends appear, the thousand hands return." And Father ... She suddenly fell silent, her eyes falling on the pagoda wood tablet on the chest of the paper figure. Somehow, a notch had appeared on the edge of the tablet, exactly the shape of the birthmark on Su Wanyan's left ring finger. The wooden door of the mortuary creaked. The draft blew in pagoda tree leaves, and the paper figures on the offering table suddenly turned toward Su Wangyan in unison. The bloodstains in their eye sockets connected into a line, pointing in the direction of the ancestral hall. Su Wanyan felt stuffy in his chest. Looking down, he saw that blood beads had somehow oozed from his palm, forming a small thousand hands pattern on the ground, a symbol that repeatedly appeared in his mother's diary. At this moment, it was extending along the brick cracks towards the ancestral hall. Go to the ancestral hall, Lin Yunyang suddenly grabbed his hand. Chen Xiaozi said that the tablet of each human pillar would be buried in a stone coffin at the bottom of the river, and your tablet ... When they rushed into the ancestral hall, the old man keeping watch was dozing off in front of the incense table. All the long-burning lamps on the offering table were eerily facing the west side. Su Wanyan rummaged through the hidden compartment of the genealogy and found the pagoda wood tablet that had been missing for years. On the back were densely engraved the birth dates of all the villagers in the village, and in the blank space in the center, blood was seeping out at this moment, slowly revealing the words, Su Wanyan, the 20th human pillar. Even more shocking was the inside of the tablet. 2 lines of small characters were engraved with fingernails, and the ink was as fresh as yesterday. On the winter solstice in 1937, Xunyang engraved the twin fiends' birthmark inside the stone coffin. On the Dragon Boat Festival in 2023, Wang Yin's blood will awaken the eye of the thousand hands. The handwriting was exactly the same as that in his mother's diary, and the date was today, the night before the mountain ghost's marriage. Suddenly, the rustling sound of paper turning came from behind. Su Wanyan turned around and saw more than a dozen yellow papers scattered under the offering table. The same pattern was drawn on each paper. 2 overlapping coffin, shapes with a pagoda, wood birthmark embedded in the middle, exactly the symbol of the twin fiends. And on the top of the pile of papers was a half-torn theater ticket. The seat number corresponded to the 20th stone coffin at the bottom of the river, and the date was the autumn equinox in 1937, the date of the last mountain ghost's marriage. Brother Wanyan, look at the edge of the tablet. Lin Yunyang suddenly pointed to the side of the tablet. Somehow, a winding engraving had appeared there. This is the outline of the Yinshan mountain range, and the red dot in the center of the range ... Her fingers stopped at the position of the mountain god pagoda tree, coinciding with the blood seeping from the back of the tablet, is exactly where the heart of the thousand-hand corpse god is. Suddenly, the sound of a heavy object falling came from the direction of the mortuary. When Su Wangyan rushed back, he saw Old Man Wang's body kneeling and lying on the ground, his fingernails digging deep into the brick cracks. And all the paper figures on the offering table had fallen to the ground. The bloodstains in their eye sockets formed a sentence. Meet under the mountain, God Pagoda Tree, at the first quarter of midnight. He reached into his pocket for the half-new opera mask. The words 1937 Yunyang inside were seeping blood, and the broken edge of the mask exactly matched the wood chips in Old Man Wang's fingernail slit at this moment. Outside the window, the face of the mountain god pagoda tree opened its mouth in the moonlight, showing the same eerie smile as the paper figure. The sound of the tree sap dripping was very much like the friction sound of the stone coffin lid slowly opening. The end of this episode. The story continues. Subscribe now.